Gen V is now 4 weeks in, 6 episodes are out. We already went over the first 3 when they dropped, and by my thorough anal analysis, it could be surmised that the show was in fact solid. I didn't think it was on the same level as The Boys, that the characters were as interesting or compelling as the ones in The Boys, but the story and plot in addition to the execution was good enough to be an overall good show. Some of you beautiful players were gracious enough to leave your responses, with some of you even saying the show is better than The Boys and that the show is better than everything on Disney Plus Marvel, which, although I'm enjoying Loki and I'm still waiting for the series to end to actually get to a fair conclusion, I can totally see how anybody would feel that way, because that might actually be what it is at the end of the day, and it kind of already is. But now the following 3 episodes have been released, and the question on hand is, has it gotten better or worse? We will be diving into that question right now, going through the past 3 episodes, 4, 5, and 6. But before we do, make sure to support your boy by hitting that sub button, turning on your notifications, leave a thumbs up, follow my social medias. Quick quandary for you players. A simple mental exercise. If this woman said she was going to explode your wiener, would you roll the dice and let her? Again, a simple mental exercise. So episode 4 starts off with Sam and Emma in the Stardust Drive-In, a fond place for Sam from his childhood, freshly escaped from the Woods facility, and slowly but surely sparks of a relationship start to light up. They have a very cute rapport, as Sam is one of the few people that doesn't want to use Emma, and I think Emma finds that quite endearing, so it was nice to see them together and enjoying each other. Then we have the notorious Tech Knight making his live action appearance as a Chris Hansen truth seeker type character, pardon the taxes, via his show The Whole Truth, which is a clever little allusion to the reason why he's so notorious in the comics, not because he was a worthy adversary of the boys, but because of his desire to, well, fuck butts and literally anything he could stick his ding dong in. I believe they gave him like a Daredevil type super sense in the show, as opposed to the comics where he didn't have powers, but all the power that he did have was in his suit. He basically tries to come through to Godolkin to expose Dean Shetty and members of the top 5 for being responsible for Golden Boy's murder. You know, he grills Jordan for wanting to be number 1, Andre for banging his best friend's girl, and he catches Kate trying to take her gloves off. And by the end of the episode, Shetty pulls an Uno reverse card on him by showing him her collection of him fucking several inanimate objects, which we don't judge because, as you all know, players, we've all been there. Demon time is very real. All the while, Marie goes to Rufus, the Five Below Homelander guy, to try and get some info about her sister, and he uses his powers to mind control Marie into almost sleeping with him. Grape is the proper word. That is until Jordan wakes her up from his trance and she literally explodes his wiener, and not in a good way. When I was watching this, players, I was like, yo, what power is this? I didn't even know what I was watching, and this mofo is like still alive somehow. I guess these characters must be related, but anyway, this whole ordeal gets Jordan and Marie alone together enough to end up in what is known as, and a lot of the strongest TikTok enjoyers would not be aware of this, but a sexually charged moment, and they begin to make out. That is until Emma returns, because while all this stuff was happening, back at the drive-in, Sam starts hearing the voices again. Relatable much? He goes manic mode and is set on killing Dr. Cardova, and basically 2000s Hulk jumps out of there. So they gather everyone to stop him, and when no one can, Emma goes giant mode and restrains him. But while they were trying to communicate to Sam, in a flash of black, Marie was transported to some bed, except Lady Jordan is in bed with her. So episode 4 just sent us a whole handful of new twists and turns I know I wasn't expecting, but by the end of it, I was more curious than I was at the beginning, and the beginning of this season for that matter. So I actually rather enjoyed episode 4, and moving into episode 5, we find the gang waking up from their blackout with huge gaps in their memories. They don't know where they are or how they got there. Emma doesn't remember Sam, and everyone is just trying to pick the pieces back up, but in putting together pieces they did know, and with Emma getting more info from Sam, they deduced that it was in fact Kate who was responsible for the mind wipes and not Rufus, who they spent the whole episode thinking it was and going after, and for good reason. The man had his wiener exploded. I know that'd be my villain arc, but it was in front of our faces the whole time, which is where the greatest twists or like mysteries are, right in front of our faces, hidden only by lies. Okay, I find these types of mysteries to be especially compelling because the why is infinitely more interesting than the what or the how of it all. Like, the why is where we can all relate on some level as humans. You know, when a villain attacks our hero, it hurts, but it makes sense. However, when a loved one attacks, it stings, and we are left radiant with the endless whys until the reason for the betrayal is finally revealed to us. So that's the gist of this episode. Oh, and Sam has an interesting puppet slaughter sequence. Would have been cool to see the real thing, pretty gross, but I admire the creativity of this scene. Also, Dean Shetty is an ever-growing, conniving, and nefarious figure who is proving herself to be right at home in the boys' universe. Finally, in episode 6, we get Kate revealing that it was Shetty that put her up to this, and she begins to give the gang back the memories she took from them, and this causes her to have an episode, okay? She gets those bloodshot eyes, and no, she wasn't watching Secret Invasion, okay? They start seeing some trippy shit, and through the help of the first Sigma male, Soldier Boy, which I just love seeing him again, and who actually ends up being Kate's imaginary friend, which is just awesome world building. It just deepens everything in the boys universe, in my opinion, that Soldier Boy would be this type of figure for Kate, and probably for a lot of people her age, but it's revealed they're all in Kate's head, and they're seeing her origin and all of her canon events, and they need to continue on in Kate's mind to save her and ultimately save themselves, because if they die in there, they die in real life. You know, one of those scenarios, you know, like everybody knows. And the question here is, does this make Kate a canon Sigma female in that she sees Soldier Boy in her head like most Sigma males do? That'll have to be a separate video entirely, but this gave me a lot of Mindstorm vibes from season 3 of The Boys. I think it's a very good way of fleshing out characters and their inner emotions and motivations, giving exposition, and it overall can be very creative and visually stunning depending on how it's done, especially in this way, since all the gang's memories and subconsciouses are bleeding into Kate's, and we find that Andre was fucking with Kate even before Luke died. You know, it'd be your own. And then we get Jordan getting exposed as an accomplice of sorts to Brinklehoff and helping him cover up in exchange for being the TA. And even Marie confronts her past and her worst fear, you know, being confronted with her sister, you know, basically telling her, you are a monster, I'm never ever going to forgive you for killing our parents. They find Kate had been manipulating Luke to forget about the woods and his brother Sam from the very start, and with this meddling supposedly caused him to go nuts and do what he did. And they finally wake her up, and she gets confronted by Sam, who tries to fuck her up immediately on sight until a little, you know, sun's getting real low moment with Emma. They also bang in this episode, so that could be why that worked. But the episode ends with them planning to confront Shetty, who put Kate up to this, and then Shetty back at the woods, she mentions a virus in the previous episode, and we got to see it finally in the beginning of this one, and how it can shut off Soup's powers and make them sick. And by this time in the episode, she's back after ordering Dr. Cordova to up the dose, which seemingly kills and disfigures the Soup testy, with the final words coming from her being, can we make it contagious? I tell you guys, Shetty, along with most of the antagonists in The Boys, is proving to be a true minute 132 episode 6 Gen V. Can you believe you can't say the C word on YouTube, but you can roll up to a mofo's house? That was strange. But yeah, guys, the plot is thickening, getting a lot of nice twists and turns, and the characters, although I still find not to be the most charismatic or compelling, are growing on me. And although the characters aren't on the same level, this mystery plot and the overall story and its implications for the larger Boys universe have me super intrigued and invested. And now I'm pretty eager to see how this thing will conclude, and I'm actually kind of excited for season 2 of this show. So as for the question originally posited for this video, guys, it's undeniable, the show is getting better. It might not be by much, but I'd be lying if I said it got worse. The show is at a solid 7.5 out of 10 so far, a 5-point boost. Overall, I think the story and plot have great legs, the tone is on point, the execution of almost everything is phenomenal. My main drag is honestly the characters for me. They have on paper solid motivation, but I just don't really care too much about them, or not as nearly as much as I feel I should. You know, the execution on making us care for them, for some reason, I'm just not messing with. Maybe that's a skill issue on my part.
You remember feelings, right? Yeah. I have feelings every single day of my life. Are you saying you don't have feelings?
But that's pretty much my thoughts on it, players. Again, definitely recommend watching this show if you haven't already. Let me know your thoughts on these last 3 episodes, if you've been keeping up or not. Let me know if you've just stopped watching and why. If you liked the video, leave me a thumbs up, comment down below, and if you want, subscribe. I always appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope all of you guys are well, and I will see you in the next one.